What's up, prison host, whatever floats your goat? It's Relentless, and welcome back, each and everyone, to another Division build video. And today I call this one the BushWookie. The holidays are coming up. Hope each and every one of you have a happy Thanksgiving if you do celebrate it. If not, happy Turkey Day or whatever holiday you may celebrate. Well, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Yes, we are still having a giveaway. We already had one at 1,700 subs. At 1,800 subs will be that Scuff controller. So be sure to get in on that. And also let me know what you guys think of this build. Ground and pound that like and subscribe button. And if you're new to the channel, then turn on post notifications so that way you know each and every time a new video goes up. But without further ado, let's hop right into the BushWookie. There's so many videos out there and so many people on social media, on Division pages, on Facebook pages, and they're always, hyping up the Banshee and Pred combo. Well, this is my little spin on it, and since I'm on this Marksman rifle hype, because I actually think it takes a little bit more skill as far as being as squishy as you are, but yet still being able to take down people. And yes, if you get rushed, it's a more or less 50-50. If they are a new player, then hold on to your tack link, and when they try to rush you, mow them down, especially if they do not know how to move as they shoot. Then yeah, it'll be fairly simple. I'm sure you've seen me do that on quite a few videos as of late, especially that one before last up on the top of the gas station. But anyways, this is my interpretation of the 3-piece Banshee with Ninja Bag and 2-piece Deadeye. And the talents that you would receive from the Deadeye is the 2-piece initial bullet stability and the 3-piece that 20% Marksman rifle damage. Now the Banshee, I'm pretty sure everyone knows how that works out, but basically you want the 10% damage to targets out of cover. And then, of course, the 4th piece, while rogue, all ammo is completely refilled. You don't necessarily need that. Damage taken from non-rogue players is reduced by 10%. That will help you out when rushed. While not rogue, damage to rogue players is increased by 10%. This bonus is increased by 20% for 10 minutes after being killed by a rogue, which that is what we are shooting for. So basically, if anyone knows or trying to run around the DZ, whether it be in a duo, a solo, or a squad, and let's just say you happen to be DZPD, or someone is actually going rogue on you, like they tried to do on me quite a few times when I'm trying to test out things, you get jumped. Well, if they kill you with this, and you can see if they're more or less camping the checkpoint outside, you just fast travel to the checkpoint behind them, run down, and they will not know what hit them, and there'll be some gameplay at the end of it to let you see the damage that it inflicts while not rogue and also while rogue. But let's hop right into it. Let's go over the talents. Everybody swears by the M700. I choose to go with the custom M44. I know the comments, well, M700 does more base damage. Regardless whether it's the M44 or the M700, a few K base damage is not going to make really any significant change. You're still going to 2-tap people. It's just I prefer while scoped in, and when it comes to after each shot, it just seems a lot smoother as far as its bolt action. When actually reloading and you can actually hear it, it's a lot smoother. It takes a lot it's a lot faster when it comes to actually shooting and aiming, and to me it's just a lot more smoother type weapon, and it just basically is up to player preference. But as you can see, it's 171k with the 55 RPM. That is base, and it has prepared, deadly, and competent. Those are the 3 talents you want on it, no matter if you're running a custom M44 or an M700. Ditch the elevated and go with the competent. In the magazine, we have crit chance, crit damage, and magazine size. And I know there'll be some out there that'll leave a comment, well, shouldn't you go with a crit chance magazine? First off, crit chance, you get a 6%, maybe 6.5%. I've only seen 6% crit chance on magazines, and then you get the 4% crit damage, but then you lose the magazine size. So basically, you're stuck with 5 bullets. And if you don't down somebody, or if you have potato aim like I do every now and then you're going to be reloading while they're gaining ground on you, and they're going to get so close to where that prepared is not going to be able to kick in. So I would rather have double the magazine size, which is 10 bullets, and then rather than have that 3% extra crit chance. So that is my logic there behind that. And also in the large optics, you want crit hit damage, optimal range, crit chance, and the underbarrel, you want crit damage, crit chance, and optimal range. In the large underbarrel, I should say I goofed up there, my bad. Large optics is what was before. Now it's the large underbarrel, and you want crit damage, optimal range, and reload speed. The secondary is not really significant unless when rushed, and so with that being said, 23k base damage, we are using the house with deadly and responsive, but of course the card counter with magazine size, crit chance, crit damage. Since you have a low crit chance, then I have to go, and it seems to do a lot more damage and more effective, to put crit chance on the optics with crit damage and accuracy, and then the muzzle crit damage, crit chance, stability, and then the underbarrel crit damage, optimal range, and reload speed. But we're more or less focusing on the Marksman rifle here. Now let's go on to the gear. We have enemy armor damage and health rolled into the major attributes. I find alongside health, enemy armor damage is best in the major attribute slot along with health, so you would want health and enemy armor damage. Ammo capacity comes into play, especially if you've seen that down to the last bullet video that I've done. Yeah, I was pretty much holding off a server. They were too scared to rush until I ran out of ammo. And once they realized that, yeah, all bets are off. So you definitely want some ammo capacity on there. Now let's move on to the mods. And we have firearms with skill power and another firearms with skill power. Moving on to the mask. 1401 in the firearms, you want crit chance on the major attributes. In the minor, doesn't really matter, but in this case, I went with burn resistance just because that's pretty much what I got stuck with. And then in the mod slot here, we have firearms and skill power. Now let's move on to the knee pads. 1401 in the firearms, 1668 in armor, and the major attribute, you want crit hit damage. If possible, and you want to run this, to kill NPCs faster than damage to elites, and the minors would work better than probably the blind death resistance. And in the mod slots, firearms skill power and 2% pulse crit hit chance. And we are going with the Ninja Bike Messenger Bag. Everything is rolled to firearms if you haven't noticed yet. And the majors, you want crit damage. And the minors, I have more burn resistance. Luckily for me, I have ammo capacity on my chest piece. But you would want ammo capacity here in the minors if possible. I've run out of firearms and skill power mod, so I just threw in the firearms and health mod here. But if you had like a firearms and crit chance mod, that would also work here, or stack on another 3k in skill power. And then of course, as always, you want the pulse crit hit chance mods. Moving on to the gloves. This is the only downside. As you can see, I have enemy armor damage, crit damage, and marksman rifle damage. In this scenario, I had to roll it to the crit damage and marksman rifle damage, and luckily for me, it already had firearms on it. But I missed out on the crit chance. But if you're running a traditional Deadeye, then there is no need for the crit chance, because as long as you're in cover, then you're going to be critting nonstop. And then out of cover, you have 50% crit chance, so it's not really needed. So in my opinion, the additional enemy armor damage is more applicable in the major attributes. But for this build, if you are able to have either a Banshee set of gloves instead of your Deadeye that has the crit chance, crit damage, and marksman rifle damage, along with the firearms, and by all means go for that. But that was what you essentially would want with this build in particular. In this case is the crit chance instead of the enemy armor damage. Now moving on to the holster, 4% crit chance in the major attributes, and of course you want all your highest main stats as possible, and then you want another 2% pulse crit hit chance. Now let's go over to the skills. As you can see, I went with the recon pack because you get more, in my opinion, more crit chance out of it. You lose the crit damage, and then when stacked with those 2% crit chance mods, you get 17.9%. But the payoff really, since you'll be shooting more at range with Deadeye, it does pay off if you have an increased range and is capable of locating nearby crates The crates part doesn't really matter. You're more or less of the increased range. And as you can see, the range on it is 80 meters versus on these others of only 60. So therefore, you get 20 additional meters in range. And as you can see, also you get, I know it's minimal, but that 1.4 crit chance could come into play. So we want the most crit chance as possible out of it. So if you had crit chance on your gloves, then you're going to be even more potent with this build. And then of course you want booster shot, and as always the tack length. Even though it is situational, I still have it equipped. Tactical advance, which states complete a cover-to-cover move to increase weapon damage by 2% per meter covered for 5 seconds, up to a maximum of 30%. So if timed right, and like I said, if you come across manhunts, rogues that have just killed you, and then they proceed to want to camp one solo player at a checkpoint to get their manhunt before they run away, and 9 times out of 10 it's going to be a group of nomads. Just saying. Just that little known fact drop there. You can fast travel to the checkpoint behind them, run down, and then you can have time to do a cover-to-cover run before you lay waste to those little pesky nomad dependents. And of course the adrenaline, because if you have to back up and create some more space, if they are pushing you, then if they are hitting with pred, then this way you want the immunity, so that way you can take off that bleed. And then combat medic only if you're playing in a group. And then I run with the strike back, reach low health to reduce active skill cooldowns by 20%. Alright, let's move on to the character sheet. As you can see, we got 17% crit chance. And then if you factor in the 6% that you would get from a glove, that would be a 23%, 155% crit hit damage, 172% headshot damage. Our range is 222 feet, 23 feet. Reload time is 3.44 seconds. Reload speed bonus is 4.5 seconds. See, on my Deadeye holster, I actually have reload speed on that. So I have around 26% reload speed, which does come in handy. And then we have the 12% Marksman rifle damage coming from the way of gloves. Then we have the 14% enemy armor damage. As you can see, we have 100k skill power, 0 skill haste, and our survivability is very minimal, because basically we are going for distance. But you have 67% burn resistance and 33% blind death. But all that doesn't really matter. It's more or less based on if you can hit those crit chance, or if you can't. So you want to stack as much crit chance as possible in your gear pieces, such as your mask and your holster, and have crit chance on your gloves. And then you want crit chance mods in your gear instead of your traditional crit damage mods that you would normally have in a Deadeye build. In a 5-piece Deadeye with Reckless, you are losing the 8% from Reckless, and from the 5-piece Deadeye, you are losing 20% in crit hit damage with a Marksman rifle, but then also you're gaining 10% from targets out of cover, and then another 10% if you are going against non-rogues, and if they actually kill you, then that would be another 20%. So it kind of balances itself out to an extent, but I'll let you guys be the judge of that on what numbers I put up when testing this build out. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I'm going to send you over to some gameplay. Let me know what you guys think, and we'll see you fudging later. I'm blending. I'm the BushWookie. They cannot see me. I'm next to a Christmas tree. What are you looking at? He always sees everybody. The BushWookie build. Sniper versus sniper.
That was literally 2 shots. That was 2 shots.
No!